Imagine the absolute silence of an Olympic arena and the agonizing seconds before the music begins. The air is so
frigid breezes scorch the competitor's respiratory tract, while the colossal hopes of a complete country press heavily upon this 20-year-old athletic phenomenon hailing from Oakland, California.
20-year-old from Oakland, California. If you have not been paying attention to the fallout from the Milano Cortina,
they must immediately halt their current activities and pay close attention, as they remain completely ignorant of the decade's most magnificent, heartwarming, and profoundly impactful athletic triumph within the United States.
Unquestionably the most breathtaking, wholesome, and culturally significant American sports story of the decade.
Bleeding directly into the glamorous
NBA and catching the attention of none other than Golden State Warriors legend Steph Curry. What Steph just did for USA.
The actions this basketball legend recently took for American champion Alysa Liu will undoubtedly provoke absolute goosebumps.
The
However,
globe, we have to rewind and look at the absolute spectacle that just unfolded in Italy. The Winter Games.
Those frigid competitions concluded not long ago, leaving a legacy of demolished milestones, devastating defeats, and profoundly emotional triumphs.
When historians look back on these games 50 years from now, one name is going to be written in bold letters above the rest.
Alysa Liu. Anyone remaining unacquainted with her should prepare for a definitive and comprehensive primer, since her journey from an exhausted youthful phenomenon to an international athletic legend feels purely theatrical.
Trajectory from a burned-out teenage prodigy to a global sporting icon is nothing short of cinematic. Let us set the stage. The year is 2026. American women's figure skating has been living under a dark, suffocating cloud for...
That devastating reality truly demands deep and thorough contemplation. Sarah Hughes successfully claimed the final solo Olympic Golden Prize for an American female skater way back during the 2002 competition.
Managed to claw her way onto the podium for any color medal in the individual event was Sasha Cohen in 2006 for 20.
A nation formerly responsible for manifesting icons including Peggy Fleming, Dorothy Hamill, Christy Yamaguchi, and Michelle Kwan, found itself completely banished from the uppermost tiers of competitive skating.
Of American skaters came and went, battling through injuries, eating disorders, and the crushing pressure of a ruthless international judging system, only to fall short against international dynasties. American fans had almost...
Devoted national supporters nearly conceded that their glorious epoch had perished. Then Alysa Liu emerged. Yet, her journey toward this pinnacle lacked any straightforward trajectory.
It was a roller coaster of immense pressure, early fame, and a shocking premature retirement. Years ago, Alysa...
Many seasons passed. Alysa stood as the 13-year-old prodigy,
she was barely tall enough
executing flawless
to
triple
see
axels
over
alongside
the
quadruple
board.
leaps, while hardly tall enough to
She
peer over the
carried
ring.
the
She heavily shouldered the
impossible
unimaginable weight of
burden
becoming
of
publicly labeled the redeemer of
being
national
dubbed
skating,
the
whilst remaining a
savior
mere
of
youth. She attended the 2022 Beijing Olympics, performing gorgeously, though all happiness appeared entirely siphoned from her spirit.
Beautifully, but the joy seemed to have been completely drained from her. Shortly after those games, at just 16,
she departed. She declared her official resignation. She yearned for a typical adolescent existence.
Teenager, she wanted to hang out with her friends in the Bay Area, go to college, and escape the brutal bone...
Attending university, and fleeing the devastatingly agonizing routines of top-tier professional skating. Throughout 2 years, she disappeared from athletics entirely. The masses assumed her chronicle had concluded.
Was over, just another cautionary tale of a child prodigy pushed too far, too fast. But true greatness has a funny way.
During 2024, she discreetly proclaimed a return, aiming her focus exclusively toward Italy.
Observers remain tremendously skeptical.
An athlete cannot simply abandon a rigorous pursuit, requiring absolute and flawlessness for 2 entire years, and legitimately anticipate perfectly rivaling the global elite once again. However, Alysa avoided merely catching up. She completely transformed her identity.
Back older, stronger, and most importantly, skating for absolutely nobody but herself. Fast forward to the...
Skipping ahead toward the initial week of the Milano Cortina Olympics, the tension within the stadium remains tangible.
Represent Team USA in the highly intense team event Now,
Generally,
casual
occasional spectators
fans
ignore these
usually
collaborative
tune
matches,
out the team
anticipating the
event,
solo
waiting
contests
for the
instead. Yet, truthfully, that proved their initial massive error. The American national squad emerged, radiating pure, unadulterated vengeance.
Skated with a
performed
kind of
harboring a
unified
synchronized
fury and
wrath and
precision that left
exactness
the
that left the
international
foreign
judges
adjudicators
stunned,
utterly
and right
bewildered.
there,
Stabilizing the entire roster with veins of pure iron, stood Alysa Liu. She executed a breathtaking exhibition across the frozen surface, assisting the American squad in clinching golden victory.
helping
Golden
Team
victory
USA
number
secure
one.
the gold medal.
national
Gold
melody
medal number
echoed, the
1.
banner
The American
ascended, and
anthem
abruptly,
played, the
the
flag
murmurs
was
ignited.
raised, and
Might she genuinely achieve the impossible? Could she conquer the solo division? The suspense escalating toward the second week of those competitions felt agonizing. Each prominent athletic broadcaster throughout America heavily promoted the female solo performance event.
individual
storyline
singles
proved entirely
program. The
unavoidable.
narrative was
A two-decade
inescapable.
barren
The
streak,
20-year
the returning
drought,
underdog,
the
the
comeback
massive
kid,
historical
the
gravity.
weight of his
As the evening of the extended routine ultimately commenced, countless Americans sat paralyzed before their screens, suffocating on sheer anticipation.
television,
young
holding their
skater
breath.
glided
Alysa stepped out onto the
flawless,
pristine, glowing white
brilliantly
ice. She was completely
illuminated
alone. No
Stripped of
teammates to
any team
lean
support
on.
or a
No
mentor's
coach to
reassuring
hold
grip,
her
the
hand.
solitary
Just
athlete stood
one
armed with only
young
metal
woman,
runners,
a
bracing
pair of
against the heavy,
steel
scrutinizing
blades,
stare
and
of
the
the global
gaze of
audience.
the
As the opening chords played, a heavy hush fell over the stadium, setting the stage for a mesmerizing 4-minute spectacle transcending conventional competition.
not
The
just a
display
sports performance. It
seamlessly
was a
fused
masterpiece of human
breathtaking physical
athleticism and
prowess
artistic
with
expression.
profound
She
artistry.
skated with a fierce,
movements radiated a
unapologetic
bold,
joy
infectious
that you
exhilaration,
almost never
utterly
see in
defying
a
the
sport
suffocating pressure
defined
and
by
obsessive
anxiety
flawlessness
and
that typically
perfectionism.
dominate the
She
competitive
launched
skating world.
herself
Hurling her body skyward, she executed breathtaking aerial maneuvers, spinning at absolute dizzying velocities,
that
and
makes a
returning to the ground
mockery of
with a velvety
gravity.
grace that
She was
defied natural
technically
physics,
flawless,
executing
ticking off
each required
every
technical
mandatory
maneuver
element
with an
with
eerie,
terrifying
impeccable fluidity.
ease.
Yet, raw sentiment truly enchanted the spectators. Midway through her choreography, a completely authentic grin suddenly illuminated the young competitor's intense features.
Across her
Certainty
face.
washed
She knew
over
she
her.
was
The
nailing it.
routine
She knew
was
she was
perfect,
making
and
history.
history
When
was
the final
unfolding.
note of her
As the
music
concluding
echoed
melody
through the
reverberated across
arena,
the
she
stadium,
struck
she
her
locked into
final
her finishing
pose,
stance,
and the crowd
instantly
erupted
unleashing
in
a
a
thunderous explosion
deafening
of cheers from
roar.
the audience.
People were
Tears streamed down the faces of spectators while her mentors shouted in pure ecstasy, and the brightly lit scoreboard formally cemented her triumph.
official.
impossible was
She had
achieved,
done it.
breaking a
She had
20-year hex.
shattered the
She claimed the
20-year
ultimate solo
curse.
championship,
She won the
securing dual
individual
top-tier medals
Olympic
within a
gold
solitary
medal.
iteration of games.
Double
In an instant, Alysa cemented her eternal legacy among the absolute greatest winter sporting legends. Securing 2 absolute top-tier medals naturally guarantees immense celebrity for any ordinary contender.
not turn
However,
someone into
merely
America's
achieving
ultimate
record-breaking
sweetheart.
milestones
Plenty of
cannot
athletes
automatically
achieve
transform an
greatness,
athlete
stand
into
on
a
a
cherished
podium,
icon.
wave to the
Countless champions secure victories, pose proudly for photographs, and swiftly vanish into shadows, utterly failing to capture the imagination of the broader public cultural consciousness.
makes
skater's
Alysa
explosive
Liu
modern
such a
popularity stems
massive
entirely from her
phenomenon
extraordinary
right
off-ice
now
qualities,
is
heavily
everything
driven by an
else she
undeniably
brings to
captivating
the
and
table.
totally infectious
It is the
An irresistible energy surrounds her. She radiates a profoundly genuine, wonderfully eccentric, and magnetic charm, sharply contrasting the notoriously stiff, heavily rehearsed royalty dominating the frigid discipline.
in a
The
sport known for
vibrant
ice princesses who give
champion operates as a
highly polished,
completely
robotic,
raw,
media-trained answers,
revitalizing
Alysa is a breath
force,
of fresh,
armed with
unfiltered
brilliant
air.
humor.
She is
She shares
hilarious.
ridiculous
She
digital
posts
jokes
goofy
and
memes on
candidly
social
discusses
media.
her
She
profound
talks
love for
openly
wildly
about her
unhealthy
cravings for
snacks.
junk
Casual vernacular effortlessly punctuates her prestigious media appearances. Maintaining fierce autonomy and strong convictions, the star remains wonderfully immune to rigid, antiquated customs. Perfectly mirroring the quirky sensibilities of her youthful peers, she simultaneously commands the frozen stage with a classic, breathtaking grace that profoundly moves elder spectators, an unbelievably scarce and incredibly potent duality. The athlete effortlessly embodies a hilarious companion alongside a terrifyingly ruthless tournament warrior.
truly
Yet,
comprehend the
fully grasping the absolute
magnitude
sheer
of
weight of this
Alysa's
triumph requires
victory.
diving
You
deep
have
into the
to
profoundly
peel
touching
back the
historical struggles
layers
endured by
and
her
look at
fiercely
her
devoted
family's
relatives. Forget the typical narrative of affluent, privileged dynasties effortlessly purchasing their path toward legendary international sporting dominance.
glory.
Instead,
This is a
this
story of
journey highlights raw
survival,
endurance,
sacrifice, and the
monumental
ultimate American
compromises,
dream.
and the
Alysa's
ultimate
father,
national
Arthur
fantasy.
Liu, is a man
Her resilient patriarch, Arthur, boasts a deeply cinematic existence demanding an immediate, highly prestigious theatrical adaptation. Raised in the East, Arthur survived the massive societal upheavals of 1989. Amidst violent, history-altering uprisings that reshaped global politics, the courageous man executed a chilling, desperate escape from his native borders. Every familiar face and cherished possession was abandoned permanently. Plunging into terrifying uncertainty, he traveled toward Western shores, armed solely with a ferocious, burning ambition to carve out a radically, vastly improved existence.
Eventually made his way to the San Francisco Bay Area, a region that has served as a beacon and a sanctuary for...
The dedicated patriarch labored relentlessly. Securing academic credentials and establishing a lucrative legal career, he forged a highly reputable Western foundation, yet a wildly different, deeply personal ambition haunted him.
To be a father, and as a single man, he made a decision that was profoundly courageous and wildly unconventional.
Turning toward advanced gestational sciences and unnamed genetic contributors, he sparked his lineage. Bypassing a solitary heir, he astonishingly welcomed 5 extraordinary babies.
5 children raised by a single immigrant father in the Bay Area. Alysa is the oldest of those 5. I really
pause momentarily to actively digest the colossal narrative weight of this epic saga. A terrified refugee flees catastrophic Eastern oppression, landing practically penniless and desperately alone on the completely foreign Western shores.
China arrives in California with empty pockets, works his way up from the bottom, utilizes cutting-edge science to fulfill his dream of fatherhood, and single-handedly raises 5 kids, one of whom grows up to stand on top of it.
Ultimately guiding his firstborn to global supremacy, where she commands an Italian champion's pedestal, bearing 2 dazzling victory pendants, while her triumphant national anthem fiercely echoes throughout the massive venue.
It is almost too perfect to be real. It is the exact kind of messy, beautiful, unconventional, and deeply...
The fearless champion continually embraces this legacy, fiercely elevating her patriarch's honor. Praising his staggering compromises constantly, the superstar treats her clan's incredibly unusual origin story as a brilliant medal.
And that fierce loyalty has endeared her to millions of Americans who see their own families reflected in hers. And then,
moreover, the hometown element alters everything. That specific geographical detail acts as the central key. No one could ever decode the legend of Alysa Liu without first deciphering the gritty soul of Oakland, California.
Understanding Oakland, California. Oakland is a city that gets a lot of national media attention, often for the wrong.
Yet those intimately familiar with the territory, the individuals probing the deep consciousness of the East Bay, recognize a community forged by boundless passion, undeniable confidence, and an aggressively protective local brotherhood.
Breeds tough, resilient people. Alysa is Oakland through and through, while figure skating is traditionally...
Although competitive gliding historically aligns with affluent neighborhoods and exclusive societies, the prodigy injects that brazen, raw local power straight onto the frozen arena. Every press conference
she reps Oakland in her interviews. She shouts out her neighborhood. She carries the grit of her city into every single practice and performance. And Oakland has embraced her back with a ferocity that is...
Upon claiming that singular ultimate championship, the entire region basically halted operations. Residents quickly orchestrated an enormous public festival honoring their champion.
Massive community celebration. It was not a polite golf clap kind of parade. It was a loud, joyful, deeply emotional.
An entire population threw its collective embrace around their native child, who stepped onto the global stage and claimed absolute victory.
Precisely where the story takes a turn from a great Olympic recap into an absolute pop culture phenomenon. Because
whenever an individual becomes a region's greatest treasure by capturing flawless sporting supremacy, the established local icons immediately take serious notice.
Attention. Enter Wardell Stephen Curry. If you had to point to one single human being who embodies the spirit, the joy, and the absolute dominance of Bay Area sports over the last 15 years, it is Steph Curry. 4 NBA championships.
Boasting 4 professional titles, 2 most valuable player trophies, and the ultimate distance scoring record. This visionary permanently altered how the sport operates mathematically.
Basketball.
Constructed the
He
Golden
built
State
the
Empire
Golden
from
State
nothing,
Warriors
ultimately
dynasty from the
transforming the San
ground up
Francisco
and
arena
turned
into
the
an
Chase
utterly
Center in
impenetrable
San
stronghold.
Francisco.
Throughout that northern territory, the iconic shooter transcends mere sports. The superstar represents pure sovereignty and a foundational cultural pillar.
Institution.
However,
But in the
during
winter of
icy months
2026, Steph was dealing
the
with some
legendary
adversity
player
of his
confronted
own.
his own
A
personal
frustrating
professional
knee
hurdles.
injury had
An irritating joint setback temporarily removed him from action, restricting the veteran to casual attire, while fellow squad members fought fiercely on the court.
Warriors
Without
without
their leader
Steph
commanding the
Curry
offense,
on the
the
floor
franchise typically
always
appears
look a
somewhat
little
aimless,
lost, and it
making
was a
those weeks an
grueling
agonizing
stretch for
ordeal
the
for
fan
devoted
base.
supporters. Yet, resting provided the injured star with an anomaly that elite hoopers practically never experience amidst a brutal 82-match campaign.
Grinding
Unstructured
82-game season,
Fleeting
free
moments
time,
to lounge
time
on
to
the
sit on
sofa,
the couch,
treat his
ice his
injured leg,
knee, and turn on
power
the
up the broadcasting
television,
screen.
and like
Just as countless citizens nationwide did, the sidelined champion became entirely spellbound by the international cold weather competition.
incredibly
precisely,
invested
his
in
focus
watching a
completely
fellow
locked
Bay
onto a
Area
neighboring prodigy
athlete
conquering the
dominate the
global
world
spotlight.
stage.
The veteran
Steph
witnessed
watched
Alysa Liu capture
Alysa
group
Liu
glory.
win the
The basketball legend observed her glide onto the frozen surface for the high-stakes solo exhibition. He tracked every flawless leap
and
as she vanquished internal ghosts to
two-decade-long
shatter a
American
two-decade-long national
drought.
championship drought.
He saw
The observer
the
recognized
joy,
her
the
euphoria, unshakable
swagger,
confidence,
and the
and completely ruthless
absolute
competitive
killer
drive. Elite talent acknowledges elite talent. A true conqueror instinctively identifies another victor upon sight.
feels
The
like
seasoned
to
veteran,
carry a
intimately
franchise
familiar with
and
hoisting
silence the
organization while muting
doubters,
critics,
saw a kindred
discovered a
spirit
parallel
in this
soul within that
20-year-old
20-year-old
skater
prodigy.
from
The subsequent actions perfectly illustrate why the sharpshooter garners massive adoration, extending well past the confines of his sport.
bombshell
explosive
report
revelation from
dropped by
Marcus
Marcus
Thompson II,
Thompson
an incredibly connected and
II,
deeply
one of
esteemed
the
athletic
most
reporter
plugged in and highly
iconic guard avoided
respected
issuing a basic
sports
digital salute.
journalists.
Nor did the star instruct his public relations squad to distribute a formal, detached message.
Statement.
captain grabbed
Steph
the
picked
telephone.
up the
He
phone. He
independently
personally
located the
tracked
champion
down
along with her
Alysa
relatives,
Liu and her
offering a
family,
colossal,
and he extended a
unconditionally welcoming
massive
premium proposition.
VIP.
The veteran informed the medalist that immediately upon returning domestically, her presence was absolutely required at his arena.
And not just
Furthermore,
her. He
the offer
invited
extended
Arthur.
beyond just
He
the
invited her
skater.
4
It
younger
included
siblings.
Arthur
He
alongside
invited
all
the
4 of her
entire
junior
Liu crew to
siblings.
come down.
The superstar summoned the whole family unit to travel to the stadium, occupy premium front row seats, and serve as his private honorees during a professional matchup.
Organization and the loud, passionate fans of the Bay Area to have the chance to stand up and give her the thundering.
Following the release of this development, digital networks essentially collapsed in a frenzy. The underlying reasoning remains glaringly obvious to all observers.
It is the ultimate crossover event. It is 2 wildly different sports, 2 totally different generations of athletes, brought together by a shared zip code and a mutual understanding of what it takes to be the absolute best in the world.
In one corner stands the 38-year-old hardwood deity, a battle-hardened warrior intimately acquainted with every triumph and tragedy a profession provides. Occupying the opposite spectrum sits the 20-year-old frozen monarch,
world in
newly
the
anointed,
palm of her
grasping the globe
hand, with
securely,
her
while a
entire
limitless
future
horizon
stretched
unfolds
out
ahead.
before
The
her.
world witnessed
It is
a
a
definitive
passing of
transfer
the
of legendary
torch.
status.
It is the
This moment encapsulated the reigning sovereign of the region honoring the rising empirical ruler. Onlookers could scarcely fathom the sheer electricity of that impending encounter.
picture a
Envision a
packed
completely
Saturday
jammed
night
stadium
at the
on a
Chase
weekend
Center.
evening.
The lights
The
go down
illumination
during a
suddenly drops
timeout.
mid-game
The
as a
massive
tactical pause
jumbotron
begins.
hanging
High above the hardwood, the colossal screens ignite, broadcasting a breathtaking montage of Alysa executing flawless triple axels across Italian ice. The footage captures the heavy gold draped upon her chest, while raw emotion pours from her weeping eyes.
placed around her neck, the tears streaming down her face. The arena announcer's voice booms over the loudspeakers, introducing the pride of Oakland, the 2-time Olympic champion. The camera pans to courtside, where Alysa
Arthur, enveloped by her adoring siblings, beaming brightly while acknowledging the roaring spectators. Suddenly, Stephen Curry rises from the sidelines, striding purposefully toward their row. He embraces her warmly, signaling her greatness to the heavens while whipping 18,000 delirious local supporters into an absolute frenzy. This scene completely transcends mere athletic spectacle. It becomes an unforgettable cultural phenomenon. It encapsulates that raw, unfiltered ecstasy, which originally captivated our souls and sparked a lifelong devotion to athletic competition. Such displays serve as powerful reminders that beyond endless corporate wealth and all the bitter partisan battles, athletic triumphs possess an unparalleled magic to unite fractured neighborhoods. The miraculous transformation of Alysa Liu from an exhausted youth into a winter sports deity perfectly illustrates invincible human perseverance. Her father's parallel voyage, evolving from a terrified newcomer into the patriarch of a global victor, beautifully solidifies the timeless American dream.
Champion is a testament to the enduring promise of America, and Steph Curry's gesture to reach out and pull this.
Alysa achieved much more than claiming 2 golden prizes. She completely enraptured an entire grateful country. Carrying her hometown upon her shoulders, she commanded profound admiration from basketball's most legendary shooter. The saga of the 2026 Global Winter Games has been carved in stone, and its absolute protagonist is undeniably Alysa Liu. Remain intensely focused upon the premium baseline chairs inside the arena for the moment this legendary collision unfolds.
Center, because when this historic meetup goes down, it is going to break the internet, and you are going to want a front row seat to witness the magic.